In this lesson, we'll look at how we can combine alphas and textures to really quickly add the suckers to our tentacles. So we've got kind of a glaring omission here on our squid, and that is these tentacles that are going to be, or these suckers rather, that are going to be on the bottom of the tentacles, all across this guy, and also on the underside of him. So what we want to do is use a texture and an alpha in combination to actually paint and create these all at the same time. So we looked at the sucker color texture that we use to actually drag this color from so that it blends in a little bit better. So we'll use that as our texture. And just remember, if you get this texture being applied to this entire model, you can go ahead and disable your UVs. Hopefully that was done before. And we'll go into alpha and we'll load up the sucker alpha here, which you can see we've got already, and it matches up with the texture. So what this means is we can, with RGB on and Z add on, we can sculpt and paint at the same time. Now if we just use a regular stroke, you can see that we're just dragging that across, which is not what we want. We want to have a single copy of this. So we can use the drag rectangle if we wanted to drag out a single copy here. So you can see that that texture is applied as well as being raised up above the surface. Now go ahead and dial this down a little bit. We can make this go even a little bit quicker. If we want to drag these out, this gives us the opportunity to come in and create these, of different sizes, which is good. You can kind of play around with the placement of these. We don't have to be very exact. Okay, and this enables you to get varying sizes and position very, very quickly. You can also use the drag dot, which will allow you to drag a single copy around. The thing with that is you'll have to modify your brush size whenever you want to change the size of those. So it may be a little quicker to use the drag rectangle, but you can also use that dot and get a little bit finer placement on those, but you will have a little bit less control maybe over the size. You'll have to go in and actually change the size of your brush. But that'll give you those suckers. And we can go down on the bottom, create some larger ones down here. Just kind of real quickly drag those out. And these are being sculpted into the surface, so we can come in and maybe the larger ones are here at the base. Okay, and I'm just creating more of a kind of a, not really random, but just kind of back and forth pattern here with the small and large, just to create a little bit more of a broken up feel so it's not quite so regular. And just drop these in. Okay, you can paint those over the wrinkles, that's fine. Come in, maybe this is a little bit too regular there, so we can bring a kind of a large one over there. And just start to break this up a little bit as we come down these tentacles. Alright, and again, remember you can use that drag dot as well. So just come in using that alpha and texture to add in those suckers. And if we take a look at the texture, it's just an image based on the alpha that we have. So you can see the gray is being pushed in, the black is transparent. Okay, this is a 512 image, and then you can see the light color is what's being raised up. So that's how it's being pulled out. And then this matches up and it adds a little bit of texture in there. Some of it's not going to come through because of the amount of resolution that's needed, but you can see it just helps a little bit to have that texture in there. And it also helps because you don't have to go in now and paint the individual suckers after you've sculpted them in, because that would really be a pain to do that after the fact. Alright, so we can come in and just add a few suckers to these tentacles, try to get into some of these areas. In here, I'd go ahead and probably make them a little bit smaller as they go up out the length of the tentacle. Okay, the larger ones are going to be closer to the base. Alright, come in here on the bottom and create these as well, bottom of the arm. I don't think too big. Alright, and just kind of play around with adding those in using some of the different brush strokes. Alright, so that's how we can use our texture and alpha together to add some of these details very, very quickly. So go ahead and just finish those out all along the underside of those tentacles. Okay, underside of the tentacles is where you're going to add those, obviously. So the next thing that we want to do is to do some poly painting on the eyes. So the eyes, we want to actually paint in the detail for the eyes, and make it look like he's looking at the fish and so forth, and work a little bit more on the composition and the interplay between these two characters a little bit with when we go in and paint those eyes. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.